Hi, and welcome to the Spark Change podcast. I'm Erin Murphy, Director of Community Engagement for the YWCA Seattle King Snohomish.
All right, and I'm Denise Miller. I'm the advocacy coordinator for Firesteel, which is a network of Washington YWCAs committed to ending family homelessness through innovative advocacy. We've tried out a lot of tools in our time as we work to mobilize our communities to advocate for an end to homelessness. And so the purpose of this podcast is to share what we've learned and to help other advocates learn how to use these tools so that they can spark change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is our first podcast, and we're really excited to kick it off. We've been talking about it for a while. In each podcast, we'll either discuss a specific tool or a topic related to innovative advocacy. So today, we're going to talk about Google Plus Hangouts.
And this is a little bit meta because we're actually using Google Plus Hangouts to record this right now.
Totally. So let's first explain what Google Plus is.
Yep. So Google Plus is a social network. It's actually the second largest such network behind Facebook, and it has about 300 million active monthly users. And it's all integrated within all of your Google services. So for example, if you have Gmail, then you have a Google Plus account, whether or not you filled out your profile. So you can use Google Plus to post status updates, photos, events, links to websites, just about all those features that you can use Facebook for.
Mm-hmm. And I think the coolest feature that Google Plus offers, and happens to be our topic for today, is the Hangouts feature. It's essentially a video conference call that is completely free to use. You just need a computer or a tablet with a microphone and a camera and a fairly decent internet connection. You can also use a mobile device, whether iPhone or Android, if you have the right apps.
Yep. And so beyond being a free video conference system, there's some other really cool features. So for example, Hangouts on Air gives you the ability to live stream your Hangout and post it to YouTube really seamlessly. It just takes a few clicks. So let's just talk about some of the ways that Firesteel has used Hangouts and Hangouts on Air.
Yeah, so when I first discovered Hangouts, and this was probably maybe a year and a half ago or so, they've been around a little while. One of the things I was most excited about was how much more accessible they were. So there's certainly other services out there to do video conferencing, webcasts, or even phone conferences, but there's often more hierarchy built into those, I feel. You have somebody that controls it and will start it, and you have that too for Google Plus Hangouts. You do have to have someone that clicks start, and so it does control it in that way. But then, whereas a lot of other video or phone conferences require some sort of passcode or something like that to participate, Hangouts are really accessible, and especially if you were to live broadcast it, anybody can participate and join. So I really love that aspect about it, and I wanted to bring that in to the work that we were doing. So we have an advisory council for the advocacy work that we do, and rather than having a phone conference for our meetings, having video felt a whole lot more personal. You can see people, the interactions are just a lot more enjoyable, and so we have our advisory council meetings over Hangouts. And since the program and advocacy work that we do itself is all about using innovative digital tools, it was also a great way to be just engaging with those tools as we figure out the program. Funny little piece of trivia, I guess. We even used Google Plus Hangouts when Denise and I were first talking and doing the hiring process for her position. So that was pretty cool.
That's right. I was on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just immediately thought of Google Plus as
our first interview, professional interview, was using Google Plus Hangouts. It was great. It almost felt like you were here in person. We have done some trainings over Google Plus Hangouts as well. So one of the coolest pieces about that is that we provided a training online via Google Plus Hangouts, but then that was coupled with an in-person element. So we had some partnering organizations that did invite people into a room together and then broadcasted in real time because we were live broadcasting our training. So it was really great to complement the online piece of that, which is now ongoing. Those trainings are still available online, but to have that paired with real-time in-person interactions. And then perhaps one of the coolest things that we've done using Google Plus Hangouts was coordinating 2 different forums with our state governor candidates about a year ago. And honestly, I think one of the biggest reasons that both candidates agreed to participate was because of the technology piece of that, because it was more innovative and it was creative. And so one of the coolest outcomes of using Hangouts as the medium for conducting these forums was the statewide reach. So we did have hundreds of people all over the state that viewed them. So our reach was a lot broader than if we had just had a sort of standard forum in just one room. So yeah,
Absolutely.
some cool examples.
Yeah, and since those forums were auto archives, I love that
Mm-hmm.
people are still watching them. We're seeing the
Yeah.
YouTube counts go up, and so people can watch who's now our governor, Jay Inslee.
Mm-hmm.
They can watch that, and they could even go back to what he said then and hold him accountable for the things he said.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really cool feature.
Yeah.
So other people are using Hangouts in great ways too. President Obama actually used Hangouts to talk about policy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Carter Center used it to hold a digital press conference
Yeah.
to talk about the near eradication of the guinea worm disease.
Yeah.
And there's a film school in New York called the Ghetto Film School that uses Hangouts to facilitate conversations between A-list Hollywood directors and
Mm-hmm.
students from around the world, so they get a chance to interact no matter where they are.
Mm-hmm.
So Google Plus Hangouts is just a really accessible way to connect people
Mm-hmm.
wherever they are and to automatically create an archive of these video conversations
Yeah.
that lives on YouTube, as well as any page that you want to embed that YouTube video onto.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, no, I've definitely tuned into a number of different hangouts that other people do. I think it's really important if you're wanting to explore and do something to see what other people are doing and to learn from that. So I've definitely listened to some podcasts that other advocacy groups have done, particularly around like gender rights and human trafficking. So I've learned a lot from that. Another really cool thing about having YouTube connected and doing the broadcasting are the analytics that are built into that. So how do we know that people were viewing the videos or the hangouts that we were creating is that we can easily go into the back end and that's all provided for us. We don't even necessarily have to set it up. We just look at it. And so we can learn a lot about what's working and what's not. So that's cool. I do want to mention a couple other bonus features. You can share your screen while on video, and this was really, really useful for us when we did our social media 101 training over a Hangout. So you know, it can be kind of hard to talk about Facebook, perhaps with people who are not very familiar. There's all this lingo around likes and followings and walls, and if you can't really visually show someone what that looks like, it can be pretty challenging. So we actually could show people what that looked like online. So you can literally toggle between the view of you on video and what you're looking at on your computer. So it's like everyone else online is seeing what you're seeing. There are text chat features as well. So you can be chatting while you're in video. And we also did that during our social media 101 hangout. we had, like I said before, a live group watching at a totally different location. And so a lot of the people there had questions. And so the facilitator with that group was able to actually type those questions in the chat box, and we could respond to those really seamlessly and without interrupting the flow. So that was awesome.
Yeah, another new feature is that you can put a YouTube video into your Hangout as well. So
Oh,
that,
oh, I haven't
yeah,
tried that yet.
I
Now I
know,
want
I
to.
know. It's a
Always
future,
changing things.
it's a
Yeah,
future podcast. So that's
totally.
cool. And let's not forget all the fun, silly things. For example, you can, yes, you knew I was going to do
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Um,
totally.
so you can give yourself a pirate hat. Wait for it.
Yeah, there
Yes.
it is.
R. There are also some really fun sound effects.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you, thank you. So that just kind of adds to the fun of this.
yeah, totally.
Um,
Well, now I want to do something. Ooh, I'm gonna do a halo. There we go. Halo.
Aw, she's an angel.
Yeah, I always just think of the Beyonce song now when I think of Halo, Halo. Anyway, yeah, all right. I will say too, we've totally messed around with these silly effects and features before doing these trainings, or like more kind of high pressure things that we know a lot of people will be reviewing in real time, because it's just, before you go live, it's a way for us to kind of, play off some nerves. So it's been pretty
Exactly.
nice, I gotta
No,
admit.
it's fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
Um, so we've talked a lot about the pros of Hangouts, but let's be fair and address some of the cons. Those do exist as well. For example, Hangouts do require a Google Plus account and plugin installation. So for people who may not already have a Google Plus account, or just essentially a Gmail address, or maybe the computer that they have access to might have certain firewalls, or it's harder to just install plugins. Those can be barriers. And then you always have to be aware that some people just don't really click with social media, and they prefer to stay off the social media grid. So you're not always going to be connecting with everyone you may want to, and just to be aware of that. And Google might be inaccessible in some countries. So again, just be thinking of your target audience. So yeah, those are a couple that come to my mind.
Absolutely. So if you do want to use Google Hangouts on air, we recommend doing a test run first. Just
Yes,
to make
test
sure,
everything.
yes, yes.
Totally.
So just to make sure that all your participants have the right plugins and hardware, and their microphones are working and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And also instruct the participants to be in a nice quiet space with light on their faces.
Yes.
Just the basics of recording any sort of video.
Yeah.
So it's super easy to start a Hangout. You just need to go into your Google Plus account, so if you open your Gmail, at the top it'll say plus your name.
Yeah,
and
like
so
a little link. Yeah.
Exactly. So you click on that, and then on the left side, there will be, you'll see your name, and you'll get this sort of dashboard. You'll see Hangouts, and then you can start your Hangout, and you will be prompted to invite people to join your Hangout.
Yeah.
So you can invite people who are within your Google Plus circles, as they call them, which is basically your network. You can also just invite people using their Gmail address. So that makes it really easy.
And you just have to type in the whole address, right?
Yeah. If they're not already part of your circles, then it won't
auto-populate. Yeah. So make sure you have that. Yeah. So that might be some homework you need to do ahead of time too.
Yeah, just make sure that you know everyone's contact.
Yeah, definitely.
And then it'll be really easy for them to join as well. They'll just want to go into their Google account, and they'll get an alert with a link, and boom, they're in. Like, we were able to connect really fast this morning.
Super easy. Yeah. So Denise, you're the one that started this Hangout today, and all I had to do was click my Google Plus link, and on the home page, it just showed up essentially on my feed right there. So it was really, really obvious, and all I had to do was click the button that said join Hangout, and then I was taken to the video piece. So super easy. Yeah.
It is simple. There's no like codes or tokens or anything like that
No,
for people to
no,
join.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's really nice as opposed to some webinar software.
Totally.
Okay, so just a couple more tips. So if you do a Hangout on Air, which is the live streaming thing, it will automatically post to your YouTube account, the associated YouTube account. But you can go back and edit that if you want to. You can either use the tools that YouTube provides to do trimming and some really basic stuff, or you can export the video and use your favorite editing software to do that editing. So actually that's going to be kind of part of the workflow for this podcast is I'm going to pull the video from YouTube and isolate the audio. And I'm going to
audio. We definitely should say Hangouts are essentially video, and one of the most important things about video is good audio.
Absolutely. So, yeah. So I'm going to, no, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So it is a conversation, right? So you want to have that audio
totally.
piece.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe people who are watching the video version of this podcast can see, like, I actually do have a headset on. You don't have to, but I just happen to know, like, where I am right now is pretty echoey, so this is a pretty inexpensive headset that I just plug in via USB. So that's one way that I'm ensuring that my audio is a lot better. So if you want to be more intentional about it, you could do something like that, but you don't have to. You then need to just be very aware of your environment. So.
Absolutely. And I'm just using like earbuds, and this is like the type of headset that would go with an iPhone.
Yeah.
So that works
super
as
simple.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be expensive.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're such fans of Hangouts that we're going to be continuing this podcast in two forms, essentially. We'll always be doing them in Hangout forms, so over video. But then, as Denise mentioned, we're going to be capturing the audio and providing that in an audio podcast form. So to our viewers or listeners, you can choose whichever medium that you prefer because we'll be offering both, and we're super excited about that. We are going to be linking this podcast to our website, so you can check it out at firesteelwa, it's WA.org. And you can also send us feedback through our website. There's commenting abilities there as well. And we encourage you to just check out what Google has to offer in terms of tips for using Google Plus and Hangouts. They definitely have some really user-friendly information out there. So yeah, it's great to learn more.
Awesome. So thank you so much for listening or watching, and we hope that you'll join us again in a couple of weeks for a discussion about using a program called Snap App for awareness campaigns.
Yeah, and before we leave, I just have to put one more silly thing on my face. I'm choosing some scuba diving or snorkeling gear because I'm going to be going on vacation soon, and I'm probably going to be wearing real ones of these. So.
And we're all very jealous.
Now I can say bye. Thanks all.
Thanks, guys.
Time.